Hi Aries, welcome to your December 2024 horoscope. This is the last month of the year and I hope you're excited for what's up ahead. There is quite a bit happening in December, especially Mars going retrograde. So there's definitely a lot to talk about. But before we get into it, just a reminder, I am doing year ahead readings for 2025. I'll leave the booking link for you in the comments and in the description box down below. So if you want a more personalized reading as to what you can expect next year, make sure you grab one of those. We start off the month on December 1st with a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. For you, Aries, this is happening in your 9th house of travel and education. So it could be that you're seeking more adventure in that area of your life. You're seeking for new experiences, and you might be finding that your life feels more fulfilling and more meaningful when you are participating in those experiences. You might find yourself philosophizing around what it means to travel, what it means to grow our knowledge. I did make a full new moon video. I'll leave that right here so that you can dive into what this new moon means for you. On December 4th, we have the Sun squaring Saturn, while the Sun is in your 9th house and Saturn is in your 12th house. And while we did talk about just 3 days before you having a fresh new start when it comes to your travel and your education, just a couple of days later, you might find yourself facing a roadblock there. Perhaps these adventures that you want to take, they're not happening, or you realize it might take a little bit of push and shove to get there. Keep in mind that this is a fairly fast transit because the Sun moves quite fast. So hopefully things should start flowing and you should start seeing a way forward. Just 2 days later, on December 6th, we have Mars going retrograde in your 5th house. While Mars is going retrograde in your 5th house, keep in mind that its retrograde will also bring it back into your 4th house as well. So you most likely will see themes of the 4th and the 5th house come up during this Mars retrograde. Mars will stay retrograde up until February of 2025. So it's a good chunk of time where you might feel like any actions you are taking to get things started around your home, maybe some renovations, any actions you're taking to maybe get in touch with your family or try to work on your inner emotional world are just not getting there. They're very slow to take off. And because Mars is also going retrograde in your 5th house, you might find that you're also not able to self-express as easily. You might find that your childlike happiness feels like it's just not getting there. You're not able to express it. With both of these areas of your life, until February of 2025, you might feel a lot of stop and go action where you find a way, a thing that you want to do, and you start going there, but then for some reason you're stopped and you have to retrace backwards. So the word of caution during a Mars retrograde is to be patient. You might feel frustrated because of what's happening, but remember that this is just the season when things might just be going this way. And remember that everything difficult doesn't last forever. Eventually we will reach better days where things do start to flow a little bit better. The next day, on December 7th, we also have a bit more of a challenging day. Venus enters the sign of Aquarius, and because Pluto is right at those 0 degrees of Aquarius, Venus ends up being conjunct Pluto. On the same day, though, we also have the Sun opposing Jupiter. The reason why this might feel quite challenging is because both of the good planets, Venus and Jupiter, are in challenging positions. Because Jupiter is in your third house, you might feel like your communication is just not being understood. Maybe you're finding it hard to speak the right words, to say the right things. And you might just find that any opportunities in that area to write or to teach are just not coming through. And as a result of this sort of blockage, you might have to face your inner demons, your self-limiting thoughts that you might have about what the future holds. It's this idea of, well, my writing jobs have dried up, or, nobody respects me and listens to me when I talk, and getting negative about the future and saying, well, the dreams that I have of being a world-renowned writer are never going to come true, or, well, I'm just going to end up being a failure. These are all sorts of types that Pluto in your 11th house can bring up for you. It's a very active few days because just a day later, on the 8th, we have another major transit, and that is Neptune going direct. Neptune is going direct in your 12th house. So from this day forward, you might start falling back in love with your spiritual practice. You might find that you're able to get a lot more dreamy about what it means to be spiritual, about spending time alone and just really nurturing that part of you. On December 12th, we have an opposition between Mars and Venus. And for you, this is affecting your 5th and 11th house, Aries. And this is a really interesting dynamic between Venus and Mars. For you, particularly Aries, you might be feeling like there is one part of you that wants to be selfish, that wants to express this inner child behavior, the way sort of kids just say, no, I don't want to do that, or say, oh, you look ugly. They just have no filter. They don't think about what they're saying or the effects this has on others. There's a part of you that wants to do that. Just express yourself unapologetically. Enjoy the moment without thinking about how is this going to impact my future? How is this going to impact others? But at the same time, you have this other part of you, the Venus in your 11th house, that feels like, well, but I should think about these things. Relationships are important. Our connections and our network is important. It's really going to help me get to where I want to go in the future, help me achieve my dreams and goals. So with this opposition between Venus and Mars, you might really be feeling that on December 12th. On December 15th, we have a full moon in Gemini, which for you, Aries, is your 3rd house. With a full moon, we're talking about reaping what we have sowed. Any commitments that we have made are now bearing their fruit, and we might feel like they're sort of reaching a peak or a crescendo. Because this full moon is in your 3rd house, this could be around your communication, anything that you have done to improve that part of your life. Maybe you've been doing important work to make sure that you can speak in a more loving way, speak in a more enticing way. Maybe you've been really working on what sort of influence your words have on others and trying to be mindful of that. So on this day, you might see the fruits of your labor come about. I will post a full moon horoscope closer to the 15th. So if you want to make sure you catch that one, then make sure you subscribe. Then we make it to the second half of the month. And I got to say the second half is, there's still a lot going on, but it's in general a little bit less busy. It should be a little bit less chaotic. December 20th, we have a trine between Jupiter and Venus. And this is a wonderful aspect, especially because for you, Aries, it's highlighting your 3rd and 11th house, which means that you might find that the relationships you've been keeping with your network, with your community, the good connections you've been cultivating in order to accomplish some of the goals that you have, are somehow resulting in opportunities, are somehow resulting in opportunities where you get to share what you believe in, what's on your mind, get to share your own unique perspective. And it comes just in time, these benefits, because the next day on December 21st, the sun enters the sign of Capricorn, or your 10th house. So I can imagine once these opportunities start coming in, you might feel like putting a lot more energy into your career, into how others perceive you. And because the sun is in your 10th house, you will feel energetic when you do so. You'll feel excited, uplifted, and motivated when you spend time focusing on your career. Then on December 24th, we have a bit more of a challenging aspect, which is a square between Jupiter and Saturn. We've had quite a couple of these throughout the year, especially because the planets were sort of moving direct, and now they're moving retrograde, or at least Jupiter is. So they get to do this sort of square a couple of times throughout the year. Even though we had a chat about you getting some opportunities to voice your opinions, to speak your mind, maybe to teach others on your own philosophies and opinions, there might be some limiting inner beliefs that you have that are holding you back from that. There might be some part of you that feels you're not worthy, some part of you that is maybe struggling with things that have happened in the past. So if you would like to be able to seize these opportunities, you really need to remember to keep doing the hard inner work, even though it might not feel a lot of fun. I promise we're almost there. We have just 2 more transits to talk about. One of them is Venus square Uranus, which is happening on December 28th. Uranus has been in your 2nd house for a long, long time. So you might have, throughout this period, really learned how to handle your finances and have self-respect, provide for yourself in a unique way, in a way that maybe society looks at it and they're like, that's a bit weird and strange. You've been cultivating that throughout these past years. However, on this day, it might be that this sort of unique approach around your finances, or around how you provide for yourself, is somehow holding you back in reaching your future goals. It doesn't have to be that it manifests this way, but the first way that I think of this manifesting is, in order to accomplish one of your future goals, you need to invest some money. You need to do a payment, an initial payment, or you need to invest quite a bit of money for a ticket or something like that. And because of the way that you have set up your finances and the way you take care of yourself, that might be really pushing your boundaries, but you feel that you do need to make this investment in order to get to where you want to go. So there's a little bit of tension there, especially when it comes to your finances. And finally, we are there. We have made it to the last day, which is, or the last transit, I should say, on December 30th, which is a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. This is a wonderful new moon happening in your 10th house. So all of the energy that you've been putting into your career since the 21st, when the sun entered your 10th house, you might be finding that it's going somewhere. You feel rejuvenated. You feel like some new ideas are popping up. You're starting a new chapter there. Don't forget, I'll do an entire new moon horoscope video closer to December 30th. So again, if you want to make sure you catch that one, make sure you subscribe. So overall, Aries, we've seen about 4 houses in December that are just lit up during the month, right? We talked about the 10th house of career, the 11th house of your future goals and ambitions, and the 12th house of your spirituality and inner world. And then, of course, we cannot forget the 3rd house, about communicating and voicing your opinions. So in December, you might find all of these themes popping up in different ways. But I do hope you enjoy it, because it's the last month of the year. Let me know down below how 2024 has been for you, and if you're excited for 2025. And yeah, I'll leave you right there. Make sure that if you want to grab a personalized 2025 reading with myself, that there's a link for you down below. I hope to see you again soon.